I've got a list of about 10 things that I'm going to talk about today. First thing I want to talk about is setting your search screen up to be your default, and I think that's one of the frustrations you may run into. So when I go into my Matrix, or whether from coming into the quick search, once you set your default choices, if you always go back a year, if you always search a specific county, or you search a specific neighborhood, subdivision, whether it's a map or whatever it happens to be, once you set your defaults the way you want it to be, simply come up to the cogwheel up in the upper right-hand corner, click on Set This as My Default, and the next time you come back to the quick search form, your defaults will be that way, and that's just going to save you a couple of keystrokes. I know it's only a couple of keystrokes, but in this business, I think any keystroke saving is a good thing. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes,
I believe
think
so.
that they also need to know that they can click active with contract, and pending, and make sure that the dates are out. And then that way we get all active with contract, and all pending. And then save that as a default.
Right, I could save that as my default, so whenever I come in, it's got everything for all the actives with contracts, all the pending, and only the sales in the last 365 days. Now, if you prefer to use a calendar option, you could do that as well. I personally like the 0 to 365 because I don't have to reset my calendar every time. Every day I come in, it's constantly doing that 365 days back. Now, another option on the days back for the solds, and this is something that Fran enlightened me with, if you wanted to, you could say, I want to have, 0 to 365, obviously that's for the last year, but if I wanted to go 365 to 730, that would give me the previous year's sales. So that's just another way to think about the data, and one way to pull that data if you wanted to address it in that particular fashion. So keep those things in mind. You can use the calendar or the days back. Saving the days back as your default might be a great choice, just to save a keystroke for you. So let's talk about some favorite searches or saved searches that you run all the time. I know you guys probably work specific areas. You're general, I know Fran and I were talking. There's a specific community you work frequently. You might want to save the search for that community, so that when you want to get specific about a particular home in that community, all you have to do is run that search. So if I were, for instance, going to run, and I'll go back into my neighborhood where I live, and we're in a subdivision. I don't know who's got the background noise. I'm trying to figure it out. Can't tell. Call in user. Okay, I got to mute somebody. Okay. I live in a community whereby we can only search for it by the subdivision, legal subdivision name. And remember your wildcards in your subdivisions, in any of those text-based fields where you can use the asterisk. In this particular case, I want stuff that is in Punta Gorda Isle Section 23, because that's what it's called. But I want to make sure I grab any ones where the legal is spelled out section, or if it's abbreviated SEC for section. So I used my wildcard, and that would do that for me. So I could actually run this search and save it. Let me show you a neat function here. If I go to my results for this, and I come down to the bottom and save, this might be a great time saver for you. I'm going to save this as a new saved search. Not associated, this is just for me. I'm going to save it as a saved search, and I'll call this Deep Creek Homes. And I'm going to enable it as a favorite search on the Home tab. Now, you can have up to 10 favorite searches on your Home tab. So if I save that way, when I go to my home page, whenever I'm logged in, you'll see you've got your My Favorite Searches box. I now have that Deep Creek Homes search, and all I have to do, if I were to get a file and I wanted to go start an appraisal on a Deep Creek Homes property, all I'd have to do is generate that search by clicking on it, go to my criteria, and then start putting in the specifics of the home. It saves me a bunch of keystrokes. So if you have particular neighborhoods or communities that you want to save that way, please feel free to do that. You can have, like I said, up to 10 on your home page, but you're not maxed out on the number of saved searches you could have. So you might have additional ones. Those would appear here under your Save Searches option under the My Matrix tab. Fran, I think that addressed one of the concerns you were talking about in your list. I've got your list here with me. So I think I will, does that address that?
That was a John Sullivan concern. So great. Okay. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
Okay. Now, remember your wild cards, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but your wild cards being, you know, I could put the asterisk surrounding something, and that would give me the contains option. I don't know what I've done there to my internet browser. That's interesting. That would be my contains when I wrap the words with it. If I took the words and I put an exclamation point at the front of it, that would mean it would be in 33983, but it would exclude anything containing Punta Gorda Isles with that exclamation point. Your help for your wildcards is available here on the question mark bubble, so if you forget, it's a quick reminder as to how those work. So I think that's a great tool. So let's take, and I'll go run properties that are built after 2005, between 1,800 and 2,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I need to take that not out of that one because I'll not get anything. I know that. Okay. 2005 or plus or more. There we go. Okay, so if those were my results and I wanted to go ahead and take those, there's a couple things I want to show you on the next screen on the results grid would be the actual results grid itself. So some concerns about these display grids and these display grids actually not being laid out the way that you as appraisers really need to see the data and the data that's important to you as appraisers. Todd, I went ahead and muted you again. Could you use the chat log perhaps? I don't know what kind of feedback we're getting there, but I will monitor the chat log. So if you have a question, if you want to pop it into there, I'll certainly keep an eye on that. But this display grid, you can change this and make this whatever you'd like it to be. So in other words, you'll notice here I have some that I've set up, and I have one that I called my new custom grid. And that one has the address and the list price and the close price and the close date and the beds and the baths and some other fields that I wanted. Or this one, which was a copy of the agent grid. Or this one is my new grid with close price. Because the close price and the current price, where the current price is current, if it's an active listing, that's the current listing price. But if it's a sold listing, it's actually the sold price. So if you wanted to have listing price and sold price, you could do that by creating your own grid, laying out the fields that you want. I've heard some feedback from some other appraisers that want to have the special sale provision field in there, or they might want to have, you know, it's up to you, whatever works for you. So the way in which you can, there's 2 ways in which you can work with this display grid and make some changes. And I'm going to show you the easy way first. And then what I'll do when this call is over, because I'll have everyone's email addresses, what I will do is I will send you all the documentation I have on how to create a custom grid. I did a little resource guide for it. It's not too long, but very simply, when I put my cursor on top of that field header, you'll notice I can remove the column or I can insert another column. So here, if I wanted to go insert, and I maybe wanted to insert the list price field, I could do that, find it and insert it. And then maybe I want to move it because I want it over here. Maybe I want to go add now, maybe I want to add the sold price because I don't want that current price. I actually want the close price. And I can add that one in there. You can manipulate this and make this the way you want it to be, what works for you in your business. Once you have it laid out the way you want it, very simply, if you come up to that little piece of paper with the pencil icon on it, you can click on that, and what you're going to do is you're going to save it as a copy, because you can't overwrite the system's defaults, but you can make your own. So you can save that as a copy, and now that's called copy of. And what I could do now is now make that my default. So whenever I come into a search, that's going to be my starting default. So think about the fields that you want to see on a grid layout that makes sense for you and your business, and you can make this grid appear the way you want it to be. You can set the sort orders for these fields. You can set the width of the fields, whether they are wrapped, whether they're aligned left, right, or center. The other way you can get to these, so if I did this quick alignment of the grid, so to speak, if I went over here to my matrix and I went to settings, you'll see we now have a custom displays option. That's what those are called. They're called custom displays. So, Todd, I'm going to answer your question. That's a great question. So I called it copy of. If I want to rename it, I can do that. I can actually copy it from here. I can edit it from here. If I go into edit, I can rename it right here and call this, you know, my new grid, you know, Jennifer's grid display. Move the fields around, add additional fields if you want to in here, and then save the changes. So you can start from the grid display itself, which I personally like because I can see what I'm doing, but that's just me. That's how my mind works. And then if I wanted to get into some more detailed changes, I could do that from the custom displays grid. So there it is now, Todd. It's called Jennifer's grid, and now I could save that and make that my default. So some customization options are here for you. I know that some of you also do you want to do exports. And Fran, I know we did not get into this, but I've heard lots of questions about this. So doing exports, if you don't, you need to go through the process of setting up the export, the layout that you want the export to be in before you run the export. So here's how we do that. Again, really simply and easily, we come into the settings under my matrix. You do this one time and you're done. We're going to come down to custom exports. I'm going to go ahead and create a new export. So I'm going to add an export, and I'm going to add the fields that I wanted. So maybe I want the price per square foot. Maybe I want the close date, and maybe I want, you know, maybe I want the list price, and I want the address. You guys get the point. I know you're there with me. I could add list price. And maybe I want the address. Obviously, address is important. You know, and maybe the MLS number. Whatever the fields are. Once you have this saved, once you have it set up the way you want it, I'll call this my export or demo. I'm going to go ahead and save that so that now when I go into a search, and you'll notice I keep coming back to this recent searches box up here, that saves your last 50 searches for you automatically, so you don't have to go back and recreate them. I'm going to go back to the search I was on. If I wanted to now export these, I could select them, come down to export, choose the layout that I wanted, and go ahead and export them now, and now they're in a CSV file that now gets dumped into Microsoft Excel for me. So just another quick and easy thing that you can do to make the system easier for you and make it work for you. Also, you'll notice up here I have my display set to 100 per page. This might be helpful for you. Depends on how you like to look at things. Again, me personally, I don't like to scroll through listings if I don't have to. So I set my grid display to 100, and when I set it that way and then make that my default, whenever I come back in, it'll view 100 per row, so to speak, or per page, so to speak. So that covered the exports and the display grids, and I think I should probably pause for a moment and see if there's any questions on that.
Jennifer, when I was doing that search for my market analysis today and I sent you the email, it was only giving me 25 per page, and then I noticed up top I could do 100, and then I got to be able to do my market analysis for 2012 to 13 and 2013 to 14 so that I could get the increase and decline. So that's where I messed up when I said I can only get 25 per page, and then I saw that there was 100 up there, and I said, okay, that works.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so that 100 per page is a great tool. So now I've got 47. We have a question. How do you view all these results on the map together? Well, there's two things we can do. I can come over here and I can click on the map, and obviously that's just going to give me the map view there, and that views them on the map. Now, there's two things you can do. I can actually right-click that map right there and then print it. It does not give me the list at the bottom. I know that's probably what you're looking for, so hang tight with me. So that's the map view. When I go to my results, however, and when I have my property selected and I go to the print option, I want to show you there's a map view that's called the, let's see, where am I going to find it? Multi-map.
Multi-map at the bottom, yep.
There's a print view called multi-map. And I'll just click a preview since I don't have a printer hooked up. But what you're going to see is it now has the list of properties along with the map view for you. So that will suffice, I think, for what you're looking for, I hope. We'll wait for a chat from Todd on that one. But that's a great report to have available for you. The other thing that is available, and I might as well go there while I'm here, is this 1004 MC report summary and detailed. And some of you may like this, some of you may not. And that's okay. It's here if you want it. This is not the same report that you get from the hyperlink that goes, the smart link that goes out to the market conditions report, but it's similar in nature in that what it's going to do, it's going to go ahead and generate this for me. I just did the summary. It's taking all those listings. So based upon the properties that I have selected, it's going to generate that 1004MC grid type or chart type that you need and give you that information that you're looking for. So that was the summary. I could also have run it with the detailed, which would have given me a little bit more. It's going to give me all of the property information along with the grid report at the bottom. So that's another option that's there for you. I think that that should be helpful for you, I hope. There's also this quick CMA option. Now, I'm running all of these from the print option. The quick CMA I could run from the other, but I want to show it. I'm just showing it to you here. If I run that now, you'll see that I have all of the properties. They're broken out by the statuses. And then there's a nice summary at the end which shows you the minimum, maximum, average, and median for the total listings. Now, when Fran and I were talking, and Fran, you may have to correct me if I'm wrong because I'm going a week, more than a week ago here now. You're typically running this on an annualized basis to run the 0 to 365 on the solds, and then the 366 to 780 or 730 rather to get the previous years to get your decline or increase in the market. Is that correct? Did I state that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, I do know that the list price to sale price ratio is missing on this report. I know it's missing. We're aware of it, and we're going to get it there for you guys. I just don't have an ETA on when that's going to happen. So I know that that will get there. The other thing is I could also run that quick CMA from here, and then I could also go here and run some stats from here. If I go down into this section, actually, let me go back and change my criteria real quick. Let me go grab my 365. I'll get my previous year activity on my results and go to my stats, and then I'm going to choose the tabular stats. So when I go to tabular stats, that gives me a breakout by status of the properties, and it gives me the, here's the ratios on, it's on this one now, Fran. It's here. It's just not on the quick CMA yet. So here's my list, or my sale price to list price ratios under that market analysis. So this, I think, should help. This has come, Fran, I think you would agree with me, leaps and bounds from the first time you and I chatted.
Oh yeah, this is much better, and this is one of the ways that I get the data that I need.
So don't forget that this is here. This is super easy to run, and again, I think the neat thing here is that you're running these stats based upon the choices that you've made and your expertise in knowing your marketplace and knowing the properties. So You're generating those stats based upon your choices and your knowledge of the marketplace.
Hey, Jennifer?
Yes.
While you're on this page, maybe you can answer a question for me. Like, say you only want, like, say the first 7 listings on there.
Oh,
okay.
Great question. Okay.
Yeah. How do you narrow it down on this screen so that you're only looking at that and not all of them?
You're going to love this. Watch this. I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to click on the word refine, because I have all my actions down here. It's actions, refine, save, and carts. I'm going to refine, and you use the terminology yourself. I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to click on the word narrow, and now I've only got the ones that I've selected.
Okay.
If you want to go back to where you were with all of the properties, and I point this out pretty strongly because I personally missed this in the very beginning. Someone kept telling me where it was, and I didn't see it. There's it's like a breadcrumb trail up here where you can click on it to go back, and it'll take you right back to your original results.
Okay.
So that's the refine and narrow. And William Darvin has a question. How do you view, or any way to print a single listing history and the listing on one page? At this time, there is not. I have heard that suggestion from others. I know that in the previous system, you had the ability to print the history and the property report at one time. So I hear you. And that's definitely on the list of enhancements to come down the line, because it's a little different now. You have to actually click it open, and you'd have to print that, and it would go along with. So I'm with you. That's definitely an opportunity for us to improve there.
Is there also a way to change that font size on that? Because it prints out so small, you can't even read it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is not, and again, I'm with you on that. I know that that's not optimal for any one of us, and probably especially for you guys that are you're working with data and you need to be able to see that. So I'll definitely take that to the I'll add that as part of the enhancement request. Okay.
That works.
Okay, is there a way to print your search criteria? So I guess I want to make sure I understand the question correctly. So Amy, maybe you could you vocalize that for me so I can make sure I understand your question, where we're printing and what we're doing?
Just to print the information that what you search to get these answers. Is there a way to print what you put in there for how you got those answers? Print search criteria.
Yeah.
That would where it probably works.
There it is. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Okay, no, that's good. Thanks.
I just want to make sure I understood. Okay. Yep. Okay. Todd was with me on that one. He had found that one. Okay. So let's see what else. I've done the fixed CMA. I've done the 1004, the market analysis. I did the math, and I did the providing the sales for a year. Fran, I know what I missed. I missed one thing that's on my list, and then I'll open it up to you guys, and you can ask me whatever you want. So when we go to print, there's another print option that you may not be aware of, and I'll just select a couple of properties here. When we go to print, there's another report down here at the bottom that you might like, and it's called the Res 8 Photo View. This might be something that works good for you guys. Go ahead and preview that. That gives up to 8 photos and some just basic criteria about the property. And this is similar to what was in MLS Change and Fusion. I think it was called exactly the same thing, the Res 8 Photo View. So that was a question that was brought up. So question from Todd about creating search templates. So basically, you don't need to create search templates because when I create my searches, these become my templates. So you don't have templates, you've got searches. You also have, under the residential, right now you've got quick and detail, commercial quick and detail. Under the cross-property, you have one called Create Your Own. And I'm working to add the ability to add one more customized option to the other property types, but that's just basically not a whole lot there. There's really nothing there on that form, and you start from scratch almost and just add your own fields and make it what you want. So that might be helpful for you guys, because I know that, you know, you're working with a different set of data when you're trying to do appraisals versus when folks are trying to find properties for buyers. So, you know, you need the skinny on this stuff, and you need specific sets of data. So, but I think if you take the searches and you save those searches, and those saved searches, you save them and make them favorites on your home page. When I went to my information and settings, let's see, where's my save searches? Okay, lost it. Here's all my saved searches, and I can see which ones are on the home tab, and I have, you know, 5 of them right now. You can have up to 10 on your home page. So you could save those right to your home page and make them available, and then, you know, that's what you use on a regular basis. Those become your templates, so to speak. Now, Fran, I don't have anything else on my list. Have I missed anything that you're aware of?
No, I think that the part about the market analysis summary, so that we can get a market decline, we went over, and the date range 0 to 365 and then 365 to 730 was the best way that I could come up with it. I thought the reviewers would like that residential with the 8 photos, so that when they're looking at stuff, they can see the interior pictures without having to hit other keystrokes. But other than that, I think we covered everything that we had gone over multiple times to try to figure out how to get through this system.
Let me also guide you guys over.
Jennifer, was when you get to your save search, down at the bottom, just open one up, and down at the bottom was adding fields at the bottom when you do the exterior. Maybe you could go through that and show them how they can add waterfront yes or no, or garage or something there, and how they can get rid of that.
Yep, let me start from scratch, because it's always easier to show you from the beginning. So if you wanted to create and have this as part of your search all the time, or add the fields that you use frequently that are not on this form field, so you can't take the fields off of the form that we put there, but you can add your own. I could come down here and click on Add and go maybe find my waterfront field, and it's going to depend on what waterfront field you want, obviously. Do you want the details of the water access to choose from, or do you just want the yes-no question? So the water extras, yes, no, water extras detail. Water frontage, yes, no, water frontage detail, those types of things. You could go ahead and add those at your leisure. Maybe go ahead and add the garage field, because maybe you need to search on that frequently. I don't know what else you guys might use. You know, I don't know whether exterior construction makes a difference in an appraisal or not. I mean, you guys are the experts here, so you'll find what you want. Once you add it, it's now part of my search form, and it's there for me for eternity. I don't have to go back and pull it up and add them again. It's just there for me. And again, if I make that my search template or my search default, that becomes my default search form for forever. All right, so I have a question. I need to read through this because it's several lines long, so bear with me. Yep, that's exactly right. Todd was just asking me what I just exactly went through. So, yes, add the fields that you use all the time, and what someone uses in one location, geographic location, may be entirely different from the others. But this is just going to save you those keystrokes every time by having it on there, and then it's there for you for all eternity, and you don't have to add it all the time. You just add the data to it as you need to pull from it. All right. does anybody have any questions that I have not answered or would like to have answered or something that was kind of burning in your head that you thought you might get an answer to today that I did not cover?
Jennifer, it's Fran. Can you go over the quick search bar so everybody knows about that?
Oh, the speed bar?
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so the speed bar is a quick way and probably for locating, I don't know, Fran, you might use this for locating a specific property. Is that how you would use it? I know how the realtors use it. I'm trying to think how you guys might use it. Finding it.
We would type in an address to see if there's any listing on it or any other past listing history.
Okay. Let's see if I can find a property. I don't know of a property. Okay, that's not good, Jennifer. Let's see. I know what I can do. Let me just go find a listing real quick, and I'll just use that address. All right,
you want me to give you an address? I got
one. 367 Franca Street. So 367 Franca. That's all I'm going to put in there. I'm just going to put in 367 Franca. Now that pulled that property up into the broker synopsis form because I had set my speed bar up to take me to the broker synopsis as a default. So I'm going to go back to that agent detail, to the single line rather, so we can see what that looks like. We'll go back to my grid here. And we can see now that that is a property that has been on the market before. It has expired, it's been leased, and it is currently an active listing. So the speed bar, here's how we use the speed bar. Speed bar can be used for an address. You would do street number and street name. Speed bar can be used to find an agent by typing AG and then their last name, and that will pull up a list of agents. Speed bar can be used to find solds, maybe in a zip code, in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath configuration. I'm doing SLD, RES, 33983, 3 plus and 2 plus. That's going to bring up all the solds in 33983 in a 3 plus 2 plus configuration. That quickly and that easily. The only caveat to using the speed bar is that the bedrooms must precede the bathrooms. If you search a specific neighborhood all the time, I can go back to maybe the example that I used earlier of, Deep Creek homes, and maybe I want Deep Creek residential because I don't want any condos, and I want to save this as a speed bar search. So I've got single families, and I need 2-car garage homes. I do a lot of these, so I want this in here all the time, and I want my 3 bedrooms and my 2 bathrooms. And maybe this is something I do frequently. So what I might do is go to the results and save this as a new speed bar shortcut. Now, watch this pretty quickly because it's pretty cool stuff. When I save this, I'm going to call this Deep Creek 32 Homes. Notice I left the / in there. What that's going to do for me is whenever I want to run that search, all I have to do is take the / DC Homes. What did I call it? It'll pull that up. Deep Creek 32 Homes. I got to put the right code in there. That would make sense. DC 32 Homes / DC 32 Homes, and that will pull up the results of my search that way. That is a super time saver. You work a neighborhood, you work a community, do a speed bar shortcut for it. I have a speed bar shortcut set up for a community called Venetian, and you know what I called it? / Venetian. One for, Deep Creek, one for PGI sold condos. So you can have a lot of these shortcuts. The key to the shortcuts is you saw what I did. You have to remember what you called it. But you can always go back to the list. It's always there for you. Okay, so Bill has a question. How do I draw street boundaries not using the zip codes? So these 2 ways you can do the streets. Now, I'm going to take you down 2 different paths here. So one way would be to do your street names here. So if I wanted Rio de Janeiro. And then I also wanted the properties that were on Capricorn. Notice what I did? I said more. It's now going to give me all the properties on Rio and all the properties on Capricorn. So that's one way to do streets. You'll notice that's exactly what I got. The other way to do your streets or your boundaries would be to just simply do your map searches. And I'll just clear out everything here. I'll go to a map search. Remember to set your map to your location. All you need to do is click and zoom in, drag your map to your location, wherever it is you do your work for the most part. Come up to the little cog wheel and set the default for yourself. But if we wanted to go now and draw an area, we could do our areas in one of three different ways. I could come in here and draw my square using the square icon and draw my square. If I wanted to draw that square, but then I wanted to eliminate some things, I could do that as well. I could draw another box inside of that box and exclude that secondary shape within that box. So you've got your three mapping tools up here, the circle, the rectangle, or the polygon. Neat thing about the shapes now is that you can resize them. You don't have to redraw them. So you'll notice my cursor becomes a little circle point here. I can drag that shape and just resize it without having to start all over. That works with the polygon as well. So if you needed to reshape your polygon, maybe you didn't draw it exactly the way you had intended to, you can click and drag your polygon. Maybe that's my polygon, but I need to reshape it. I can simply drag the edge of it out a little bit and reshape it. So all of your shapes are there, circles, squares, and polygons. The little broom over here clears all the shapes out for you. You can check the properties while you're on the map if you wanted to. This is something we did not get into, but you could come up here and say, you know, I want to check all of them. Clicking checks the pins. If I do that, I can say, yes, I want that one, and I want this one, and I want this one, and I want this one. So you can do your tagging, so to speak, from the grid or from the map view rather than from the grid view. So then when you go over to your results grid, you now have your properties tagged, but you did that from your map view. No, I went through that a little quick, but that's the tagging up here. Clicking select the pins. That's that option up here. Or you can check all in an area and say, you know, I want to choose all of the ones that are in that area there, and it'll go ahead and select all those.
That's really great if you're looking for stuff that's been sold and listed on high traffic streets. That would really be great.
Yes, it would. Let's see. Todd has a great question, and Todd, I don't know the answer to that. The question was, I know the answer to it. The question is, if I type in a string of MLS numbers up here in this speed bar, why don't they show up on the grid in the order that I've typed them in? Because when you go to this grid is set with the defaults based upon this grid for the sorting order for this grid result. So if you take a look at the bottom, you've got the refine option, and there is a sort option where you can define your sort. So I can, right now, my default for this particular grid layout is to sort it by square foot heated, by the legal sub, and then status, and then list price. Those are my sortable fields. And that's the fields that I can sort on. So I could actually add to it the ML number, if I wanted to, MLS number, and then that would become a sortable field for me. Okay? That's not there because that's not the field that I used in that particular grid layout, because that is called the full, can't even remember what that field was called. But that's why it doesn't sort it in the order that you type them in the line up here, because the grid defines the way that they're laid out and sorted. All right. let's see. What if we don't want them sorted? I'm reading this. I know what you're saying. What if we don't want them sorted only in the exact order that we would put them into your appraisal report? Yeah, I see what you're saying, and unfortunately, that's something I'll have to send that up to our project team to see if you could do that. If maybe the grid result, when you do a string of MLS numbers, should display it in the order that you put it in there. That would make logical sense to me. So I'll certainly send that on up the line and see if we can't make that happen. All right, I don't see any more questions.
Jennifer, I have a couple questions.
Please, go right ahead.
Okay, can you do a partial address search in the speed bar? Like, say, take one of your lists.
Can you give me an example?
Say, do 2919 Sly. Instead of SLIGA, do SLI.
SLI, okay. No, you can't. I didn't think you could. I wasn't sure. You can't do it there, but what you could do, if you were doing that, what you would do is you would come over here and do it over here. You would say SLI asterisk under the street name here. And let me take out my counties because I'm probably going to declare myself illegal here if I don't. But if I did it here, if I did the 2919 and I did the SLI asterisk here, they would give it to me that way.
Okay. All right. Now I have another question.
Okay.
When you say, like how Fran was having us do the go a year back, when you stats, how can you make it just default to? Because we don't use the charts, we just use the tabular. Can you have it default just to the tabular so you don't have to do that second click every time?
No, because it's a choice. You have to make the choice when you go to stats. You want to go to the chart or the tabular. I can see if we can't add an option there to make that a default. That's about the best thing to think of. You know, set it to go as a default. So I see where you're going. I mean, that makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, like you were saying, less clicks is better.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. Okay, Bill has a question. In trying to print the 1004MC, the print button is not highlighted, but the print to PDF is. Okay, so let me go pull up some properties and let me walk through this because that's the best way for me to go here. So we went to print, and you're going to go down to the 1004MC, and you're right. Why is that not? That's strange. Okay, one or more of the selected reports can only be printed as PDF. That's interesting. Okay, screenshot. Hang on. I had never noticed that before. So bear with me a second, because if I don't do this now, I'll forget. Okay. Duly noted. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't know if we can fix that or not, but I'll certainly try to get that taken care of. Where the lot dimensions show up for a specific property via the new tax records. Oh my goodness, I can show you a really cool trick here, guys. You're going to love this. All right, so I'm going to pull up a piece of property, and I'm going to pull it up in the full display view here just for the sake of looking at it. So if we looked at the map view here, you'll see the icon to view map up here. This is the easiest way to get the lot dimensions. There's a couple of different ways you can do it, but if I click on view map, because RealList is integrated into Matrix, when I zoom in on this property, when I left click on the property, you're going to see it brings up the owner's name, and then I can click on the word lot dimensions, and it will give me the lot dimensions of that singular property. Quick and easy. That was 2 clicks. It wasn't hard to do. I could walk to the next property if I wanted to and click on lot dimensions on that one and get the lot dimensions for the property next door as well. That's a pretty cool feature. Now, the other thing you can do, how did I do that? We went right here to the map, view map from the property detail or from the single line display, either one. However you get there, it doesn't matter. Either way works. Clicking on the map view, clicking on the property, clicking on the word lot dimensions. And that will zoom you in and give you the lot dimensions for that particular parcel. I clicked it again, so it's put away.
Jennifer, can you right-click copy that so that you can drop it in a report or not?
Let's see, can I save as? No, I can't save as on that one.
Yeah, but can you just right-click and copy?
No, copy's not there. Copy's not there. So here's the other thing. Here's the other way we can go about this. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, as far as I'm concerned. You could do you could use a window snipping tool or whatever. But if I was also over here in the property, if I went to the property record through Realist, there's a couple of different things we can get to here. This will take me out. That one click from the parcel ID took me to the property detail record for the parcel. I could also get to that same parcel record from this link up here, or I could click on this link, which is the second one. It's going to take me to a map view of the property with the property listed below it in that split window view in Realist. And what you could do here, okay, there's that same property. When I zoom in, I could, no, you can't do it here either. I thought there was a place I could do it. If I click on it here, I can click on the ruler and get the lot dimensions. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. But I would say use the window snipping tool to grab those screenshots. That will be coming in a future release of Realist, an enhancement to be able to right-click those pictures and save them. I know that's on the on deck for Realist to do that. It's just not there at the moment.
And also on that, can you explain to them how to do the 1004MC right from this grid right here?
Sure. 1004MC right from here. It's right here. It's called Market Conditions. When I click on the market conditions, it's going to generate a market conditions report based upon a standardized set of criteria. And you can go ahead and change that criteria if you'd like, clicking on the edit button. Maybe you want it to be within a 1 mile radius, and you want the, what else? We'll leave the square footage alone. That looks okay, I guess. Update my report, and that'll generate that market conditions addendum grid for me through the market conditions report and give me some overall trends and so forth with all the properties. So you've actually got now 2 different ways to get the market conditions. One through the market conditions summary from MLS, and one here from the market conditions report from a property. So that's the nice thing.
You could get a draw feature in that at one point?
A drawing feature in market conditions so you could draw the map?
Yes.
I have not heard that, but I will certainly take note of that and send that over to the vendor that does the product. I'll certainly, I'll take back any suggestions you have. What I would say in the meantime, this is just Jennifer speaking out loud, this is what I would do. I'd do my map shape here, get my results, and go to my print job and use the market conditions report detailed over here. And it's going to generate a similar report with the same set of properties and the properties that were in the map shape. That's what I would do in the meantime. But yeah, great suggestion. I'll certainly send it on up to them. I don't know what they've got on their docket for future enhancements, but I'll certainly send it on up the pipe. Does the Realist tax record print out with the plat? The Realist tax record, when you view it, I've got way too many windows open here. The Realist tax record, let me go back to MLS, finding a property. Realist tax record, when you view it, in this particular manner does not have the property plat map on it. that was the first link. If you click on that map link, that second one, that's going to bring it up in that view, that second view that I showed you that had the kind of the split screen on it. And when you go now to view the report in this manner, clicking on view report for that property, it does give you a whole lot of information. It's just laid out differently. And at the bottom, this is generating this report as I'm scrolling down. You do have the plats at the bottom. Okay.
Sketches available.
The building sketches, if they are available from the county, there will be a link to those in the tax record, if the county provides them. Not all counties do. Like my county does not, for that matter. Notice also the flood map is here now. I don't know whether that makes a difference for you guys or not, but it's here. We've added the flood map details within Realist. How do you get back to your results? Realist opened up in another tab, Todd, so I didn't have to close out of my results. Everything is just still here for me. I'm just working in multiple windows. I'm sorry, that was Bill. Okay. Any more questions? No? All right. Todd, thank you so much. That was a great compliment. I thank you. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. I'm glad this was helpful for you all. I hope you all felt that it was helpful and valuable time for you to spend on the phone with me. I know your time is money. I get that, and I do value your input. So I'll be taking the the input that you guys have had. I'll be taking some of those things back to our project team. I'm also going to be putting together a formal webinar for all appraisers that you're welcome to attend as well. And we'll try to keep that in mind as I build out our additional training for Matrix and Realist. I definitely will keep you guys in mind and thinking about you from the appraiser's perspective for our training classes.
Jennifer, this is Fran. I want to thank you so much for working with me in the last week and a half trying to get this information together. I know I was a pain sending emails all the time, but I think it's helped everybody, and I know I learned a lot today that I didn't know when we worked together. So I've got a whole list of notes. I want to thank you so much for taking your time as well.
Well, you guys are welcome. You guys, feel free to email me anytime if you've got any questions. If I can't answer it, I'll get the answer or get somebody. If I'm not available, I'll get somebody to get you the answer. So just don't think that we're not here for you, because we are. Okay? And I'll get that document out to everybody about the creating the custom grids, so you'll have that as well. I know I went through it kind of quick, but I'll get that out to everybody that's on the call.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're very welcome. You all have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.